So Swedish mining manufacturer Epiroc announced that they will be electrifying their entire lineup of mining vehicles over the next 5 years.
Two of the biggest expenses for miners is getting diesel fuel to their vehicles and ventilating the mines. Even though the new electric versions of these trucks cost almost twice as much, these electric mining trucks will help in both of those departments.
Now, but you still need to ventilate the mine so that the workers can breathe, right?
Yes, but you don't need to be sucking out all sorts of diesel fumes, diesel exhaust fumes out of the mine itself, because keep in mind, if you're in an enclosed space, those fumes can't just kind of, go out into the air. You need to actually suck them out. So once you get rid of those diesel fumes, you just need to be bringing down a pretty reasonable amount of air for the miners to breathe.
So you remember that Jesse and I went to Sweden and checked out the Uniti 1 car, and now the exciting thing is they have just released the specs and the price for it.
The starting price is £15,100, including the UK VAT and UK's incentive. So it's a pretty nice starting price.
Yeah, and I think, we've been to London a bunch of times now, and I think it would be a perfect London car.
Right, nice and tiny, right? It's good for moving one to, I think you could fit 3 people in there. And it looks like it has a lot of cargo space if you're not moving any people.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point. It's an interesting layout inside the car. One of the only ones that I've seen that has one driver up front and 2 seats in the back. If you want to get the 22 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's 3,000 pounds more. And if you want to get fast charging, that's 3,000 pounds more. So we went to the configurator and just kind of like pimped out the car. So fully loaded, it's 23,845 pounds, and that includes the VAT and the UK subsidy. So check out their website and their configurator if you're interested. And if you are interested in buying the car, you'll need to put down a 50% upfront payment.
And that's for the first initial cars. So if you want to buy one soon, you're probably going to have to do that.
Yeah, and the car is due out mid-2020 in Sweden and the UK.
So I think that this is a really exciting option in terms of electrical mobility. Not everybody needs a Model 3.
Right.
I know it's kind of funny. Everyone could use a Model 3. Like it fits most function. It does long distance, it does short distance, it's efficient, it's a pretty decent size for carrying lots of people. I think that the Unity is a more specific car for a more specific person, a city dweller, right? It doesn't have a huge top speed, the acceleration isn't wild, it doesn't have a huge range. It's an excellent city car, right? Nice and small. The turning radius is 7 meters.
I know.
So, if you're driving down a city street and you're like, oh, I'm going the wrong way, you just whip that thing around.
It has an electrochromatic panoramic roof, which is, so basically you can electrically control how dim the roof gets, which is pretty cool.
I'm really excited about that. I wish my Model 3 had that.
And since we've been to London and we don't really want to ride on the tube anymore because we found out how polluted it is, I can see that I might want a car like this to get around the city, because the city now has a ULEZ, which is an ultra-low emission zone, where you have to pay a pretty hefty tax to be able to drive your car there. This, of course, being electric, would mean you wouldn't have to pay that tax.
Right.
Now, the only thing missing, I guess I'm a little disappointed, but maybe it's coming down the road, was we had heard early on that one of their innovations was going to be a removable battery, which is like the size of a briefcase that you could bring to work or home and give yourself, I think it was something like 15 kilometers more range, so that you could kind of get yourself to a charging station if you needed to.
Overall, I don't think it's going to be all that necessary. Let's be honest, this is probably going to be a commuter car or something that's just going to get you around the city. It's going to charge up really quick because it's got a tiny battery, especially if you go with a 12 kilowatt hour version. That's about 2 hours charging at a standard level 2 charger.
True.
And if you do, and if you went for the fast charging station, I think you'd only need to be there like 5 minutes.
Right.
So I think that you don't really need that carry out battery. I think that was something that sounds good, but I think in practice, I have a Leaf which has a similar-ish range, and yeah, you just drive it from your house to work, and charging it with a regular, and in London you have actually 220 volts, so you're going to be charging it way faster from the wall.
Yeah, I guess I just figure that in London, places like that, you may not have the ability to charge at your house. You may not have a garage, but
I suppose, right. But again, a briefcase battery is not going to be the silver bullet solution to that.
So Volvo has unveiled the electric XC40.
So this is a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack for a range of 250 miles. Again, this is based on the WLTP standard, which means that it is not going to be 250 miles. It's going to be less than that.
12% less.
12% less than that. So we're looking at like a 230.
Right.
It'll be a dual motor 300 kilowatt powertrain, 150 kilowatts electric motor on each axle. It'll have 11 kilowatts of onboard charging and 150 kilowatts of DC fast charging capability.
It'll have 0 to 60 time in 4.7 seconds, which is super respectable, and a top speed of 112 miles an hour or 180 kilometers an hour. And it has a frunk.
And they implemented the frunk really nicely. I have to give Volvo credit here because they basically just copy and pasted the Tesla one, which in my opinion is really great. You have just a big, nice, well-lined frunk with nothing around it. There's no junk. You just have the cap for the windshield wiper fluid. I think that's really smart.
Yep, and they have an infotainment system powered by Google's Android. Now, the question I have is when and how much?
We don't know, and we don't know. So
right.
those two very important questions, when I can buy it and how much it'll cost, we just don't have any idea. Until that point, this is just kind of a dream car for the future for people who like Volvos.
Amazing how these manufacturers stretch it out. Like there's a tease, there's an unveil, then there's like the price unveil and the date unveil. It's just, it goes on and on.
Goes on and on. Thanks so much for watching this Now You Know clip.
Head over to Now You Know channel for full episodes of Tesla Time news and in depth.
And if you want to treat yourself and your family to something amazing, check this out.
Jesse and I have been enjoying Masterclass, where we've been learning all sorts of fun topics from the masters themselves. Chess from Garry Kasparov.
Scientific thinking with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Space exploration from Chris Hadfield.
Design and architecture from Frank Gehry.
And so many more.
Click the link down below to support our channel and experience what it's like to learn from the masters at Masterclass.